And welcome back. Of course, this is Alpha Jiri. It's time to rise and shine. And yes, I know the weather doesn't really inspire motivation and make you want to get out of the house and get it. But that's why we're here. That's exactly what we do. And I'm joined by Samuel Kanja. Karibu sana, sir.
Thank you so much.
And you know, we always say every single time, like motivation, it's like taking a shower. You don't do it once and you're good to go. You have to do it every single time to make sure you're at the top in terms of your mindset, in terms of your spirit, in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And especially on the career front. Because every single day, probably in January 1st, or probably if you guys open on the 5th, you go in there, you're ready to do, you've set goals and targets. But as the year progresses, company politics starts affecting whatever is going on. Your own motivation just starts to dip. And you really wonder where to next at that particular stage. And it's important to always do an internal audit to see where you stand. And that's why you're here. Take us through that particular issue. And when it comes to career life, what's the best way to get into an office and know if this particular career is even for you to begin with?
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for the invitation. And allow me to start by saying that career life is a very, very important component of our life. If you calculate the number of hours that you spend at work, even here yourself, and many other people work even extra hours, you end up spending more than half of the day at work. You may wake up at 5 and you go to work, you'll be back to the house at 8. Meaning we even spend more time in our careers more than we do in our families. So it's an area that we need to be very much concerned. A detail starts with the selection, how you select your careers, the choices that you make. But when you realize that you made the wrong choice, then you have to make a U-turn, maybe at an early stage, so that you don't live a life full of regrets. A life where every morning you are worried. Now it's morning. Instead of saying, wow, today I'm headed to work. So do you look forward to that day in the office? Is it something that excites you? So it all goes down to the choices that we make. Because it doesn't mean that the course that you did in the university is what will give you the job that you really need. Sometimes I always say in life, you can do the things that you don't love if those things can take you to the things you love. So if you graduate like from university, you can do the jobs maybe that you are not connected with. But as you do that, are you coming up with a process, a plan, a strategy of heading to the career that your body, your mind, your soul are all connected together? Yeah, because you have to get fulfillment.
And that's a very interesting question because some people you'll find more often than not don't get to do the particular job they wanted that's probably their talent or they're passionate about, but they're doing it because they have to pay the bills. You need to survive. Passion or not, the landlord wants rent and you need to eat. And at that particular point, how do you motivate yourself every single day to make sure you're still performing as you know you should, even if in your body you don't like your boss, you don't like this job, you just wake up, na umetoka, hata kabla utoke kitanda ushachoka. What does somebody do in such an instance?
You see, actually, when I go around doing some staff training, I've realized the major problem that we are having is an issue of mindset. Mindset now coupled with the lack of soft skills. Because most people are not ready even to go to an extra mile to understand their bosses. They think that these are people who should treat them in a particular way. And unfortunately, this current generation, the millennials, most of them, they tolerate everything. So they also want to be tolerated even at workplace. So I feel the best thing is first to find, do I have the right values as an employee? Do I have the right skills as an employee? You may have the papers, but you are not a good communicator. You may have the papers, but you are not a good reporter. So whenever you get some work, you report the wrong way. So you are always in conflict. You cannot negotiate with your boss. You don't have the skill to be assertive. When you say yes, you mean yes. When you say no, you mean no. When you give a promise, you keep the promise. So I believe it's not so much about even the career itself, it's about the career management. That's why career life really requires even the soft skills. That's why you hear people talking about the graduates from universities. They are half-cooked. For me, I've always against that. My belief is that any person can be a good employee. Today, if you went to work in a bank, you only need to change your mindset. Now I'm not working at K24, I'm working in the bank. So it's more of the mindset, having a positive mind. But when you go to the job and every morning you are looking at your boss, you know, you lack what we call emotional intelligence. You don't know how to manage people's emotions. you'll always be complaining, you'll always be regretting, you'll always be wishing. And then you'll be looking at the end of the month, what you get, you'll be putting it to the job that you have done. And in most cases, you'll find your employer is getting more than you, and it's you who did the work on your own. So that mindset have to change. Yeah.
And it's very interesting you say that, because even at times, like you said, you have to have some capacity of emotional intelligence to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But where do you distinguish between emotional intelligence and what is betterly known as office politics? You know, because at every single point in time, you'll have to interact with people.
Yeah, sure.
But where does it go from, you know, just building relationships and just trying to make sure you're emotionally intelligent? Na sasa umekuwa mwanasiasa within the company. You're busy maneuvering and doing all manner of things. Yeah. How do you know what you're doing?
No, you see, now we need to ask ourselves, what is bigger than the other? Is it the office politics or is it the emotional intelligence? Office politics is just a subset of emotional intelligence, and it doesn't have to be part of it. So what I would say is that you put emotional intelligence ahead. And what is it? Because this is a word that we are using nowadays, but what does it mean? It means, can you look at a person? Can you understand a person even before they speak? You can see what they're about to say. Can you understand the situations that you don't approach your boss in the morning, you approach them in the afternoon? Can you understand the situation of your juniors? How do you deal with them? What do they like and what don't they like? And there's a process. It's not something I come today here and you understand me. You have to get that intelligence with time. So office politics is more of it has a negative connotation, but it's part of emotional intelligence. But with good values, with good soft skills, you don't need to have very strong office politics for you to progress. Because you do your work well, you package it well, and everyone can see, even without you putting it all over.
Okay, and that is, of course, in an ideal scenario.
Yeah, that's
what
an ideal
happens
scenario.
to a person who, you know, Kanja, you're getting ready to go to the office and you know in your heart of hearts, your boss doesn't like you.
Exactly.
See, Siri, you just know this thing. And you still have to work there.
It's true.
How do you do this? Because this is the person who, like you said, you're probably supposed to be giving the reports. You're supposed to be doing all these things.
Exactly.
And he or she will nitpick every single time, even if a report that's how good still finds a fault, still finds a fault in everything you're doing. What do you do in that particular area? Because you still have to navigate through this particular part of your career.
Sure. No, I understand there are people who are bosses, or let me call them managers, or they have not got to that point of being leaders. So instead of leading you, they want to manage you. Those people are there. Sometimes we feel like these are not the people we should work with. But I always ask people, if you left that place, how would your life change? Because one problem we are having nowadays is that, especially the young generation and maybe the middle age there, they are leaving their jobs emotionally. You don't like your boss, you feel, I don't need this job. So you spend even 2 years looking for another job. Reason being, you did the decision emotionally. Sometimes it's not bad to be persistent. And this persistence is what you started with. Be motivated, not from outside, by your boss liking you, by your boss appreciating you. That is external motivation. And every human being wants that. Every human being craves to be appreciated. But the truth is, whoever motivates you must find inner motivation, what we call intrinsic motivation, within you. So that internal motivation, or rather that inner motivation, nothing can be above it. So when you have that one, no matter what happens around you, you still have what we call tenacity, strong personality, that you are not brought down by simple things. I know your boss not liking you is not a simple thing, but with that strong personality, you return to change your mindset and you realize, oh, for the time being I can work. But the point you realize you don't like the company, you don't like the boss, you don't like your colleagues, the question is, do you just stay there complaining, or do you stay there as you plan? What next? Because you cannot be there forever. If it's an environment that you are not feeling like I need to be here. Yeah.
And it's interesting also because even when we say that, and like you said, very many people at times just decide to quit their job because of it's an emotional decision they make at the time. They're like, I'm just tired, let me go. But the argument to that also is the fact that, Kanja, you don't wake up in the morning and you just feel the joy has just been robbed from you. When you get to the office, you just sigh and go in there. And very many people feel like they're trading their happiness for a salary. And it's very hard to change that mindset that, okay, fine, let me go in there and try and persist and work it through this. What do you tell somebody like that? Because they think about it every single day,
Yeah.
and they look at their salary and even ask themselves, is it worth it? 30 days a month, miserable for this amount of money. It's not. Let me just walk
Yeah.
and look for something else.
No, actually, whenever you equate your job with just what you are getting at the end of the month, trust you me, that's where trouble starts. And it's so unfortunate, it's subconscious. You don't know about it. But when you look at your job just as a source of livelihood and nothing else, I feel, as you said, you are trading your life, not only your emotions, but your life with just money. And you are asking me if this person is not feeling comfortable in that environment. Should they just not wake up and just go? The point is, even a marriage, you don't file a divorce, without a plan. It's something maybe has happened even for 5 years. So by the time that you feel you need to divorce your employer, you need to ask yourself the hard questions. Are these things I cannot live with? If the answer to that question is yes, I cannot advise you to leave tomorrow morning. Can I advise you have a plan and a strategy which is very realistic? Start saving towards your exit plan. If you are leaving just to go and do your stuff, do the same. Build yourself, build your capacity. But the major challenge you are having is people being toxic in their jobs, where you keep complaining about everything, everyone, and even the company itself. You never speak well. So you hear many people saying that I work for. You don't work for. You should work with. I work with. Because the two of you need each other. That's why you find many people feel like you are less a thing. But remember, it's a contract where both of you signed this contract as equal parties. The employer may have an upper hand, but in the law, you are equal parties. That's when you go to court, the labor courts, mostly the employee tends to win because they tend to look at what was the contract. So my idea here is, whenever you feel you are not in the right place, come up with a plan, come up with a process. Avoid the instant, the instant actions, those emotional decisions. Like, now I cannot work here again. Tomorrow morning, I'm not even going to write a resignation letter. You never know, you may need these people another day. So whenever even you are leaving that place, do it in the right manner. For example, myself, when I was leaving my company, I used to work with Ernest & Young, and I remember I had first to talk to the people who are my mentors in that company. Number one of them was the CEO. So I didn't just write a letter to leave the company. I talked to the CEO. By the time I was writing the letter, almost everyone knew that the decision that I've made. And the company was not the problem. The environment was not the problem. The bosses were not the problem. I just wanted to go and have a chance to do my things so that I don't have a conflict of interest with the company. So the idea is, do you have a plan? How long did I plan for that? I can tell you it was not months. It was years, because I could see it coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And very many people also have the question about, and this is what I hear people calling a millennial problem.
Yeah.
Because they don't stay at one job for too long.
Exactly.
So you're at K24, and then for 6 months, you move to another company.
Sure.
8 months, you move to another company. 1 year, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And when it comes to your career life, is that something people should do? How does it reflect on you as an employee? How should you navigate that particular space? Is there a proper time frame in which you should stay and make sure you've probably absorbed such skills?
Yeah.
Or how does it work as you're planning your career?
Okay, remember, when I was an intern in one of the companies, my boss told me at some point, Kanja, there's no specific time that you have to be in a company. If you get employed today and next week you feel like you get another opportunity, better, and which you like, go for it. But I didn't take those words as they were. I had to synthesize them and see what exactly is the right thing. For me, I feel if you need to grow in a particular field, it's good that the opportunities you get, you stabilize there so that you can have the right skills, and also you can have the right experience, and also you create trust to other future employers. But there is no way that you can be in companies for months, maybe for 6 months. There is no company I've ever been there up to the Christmas party. It's not the best scenario. But unless it's unavoidable, unless you get an opportunity that this one I cannot let go, because you get a job today, but tomorrow you get a job that, wow, this is what I was waiting for. I can advise you can go for it. But under normal circumstances, it's always good to be patient. Because most of the millennials, as you called them, one thing they are lacking is patience. Second thing they are lacking is trust. They don't trust authority and they are not patient. And then, as we said, they are tolerant. And they want everyone to be tolerated and even themselves to be tolerated. If I'm late for work, why should you ask me why I'm late? If I'm demanding a salary increment, I don't need to think about your budget, even your profit. But I'm working more. So these people, they need to be understood. And also companies need to really train people about the expectations from an outside perspective and also the inner perspective of the company. Because again, Jeff, even you feel comfortable when you are somewhere and you create networks. You cannot be creating healthy networks when you are somewhere for only weeks, months, or maybe a year for some places. So depending on the profession, I believe it depends for how long. I cannot say strictly 1 year. I cannot say 6 months. The issue is which career are you in? Is your experience needed? If you are going to do your own things, even if you stay here for 1 week, it's not a big problem. You may not require that experience somewhere. But I believe people need to really understand themselves at a personal level. Yeah.
And you said something very interesting because some people just, like millennials, you said they just don't trust authority.
They don't.
You know, when it comes to that particular aspect. And it's an issue very many people have because, and one issue people usually leave their job at a particular station and look for another job at another particular place is the fact that you've been waiting for a promotion. It didn't happen. You've been waiting for a salary increase. You're told, 2017 politics, it was a bad year. But you have been working extra hard in this bad year. And you want your time at least to be recognized somehow. The efforts you've put into this company, the boss should see that I've been working hard. Even as we had 2 elections in that year, I only took a break on the day for voting. And then the next day I was back. And you don't get that raise, you don't get that promotion, and you start to feel frustrated and you just want to leave. That's another scenario that needs to be dealt with. And what do you do? Because probably you're leaving out of the fact that these guys aren't, it's not that the company is bad, but you feel like they're not rewarding me for my efforts and my talents and my skills. I just have to go.
No, I think, Jeff, again, this a mathematician by profession.
So it's numbers.
It's numbers. And it's good to do good research. The first thing is, when you are talking about your salary being increased, the first question is increased from what to what? So the first thing when you are getting to a job, the salary that you sign in the contract, always ask yourself, can I live with this for the next 5 years? If it is not increased, because mostly they don't promise the increase on your appointment letter, can I do with this for the next 5 years? If the answer is yes, take that job and be happy. If the answer is no, there are 2 ways. Ask yourself, does the company have structures to increase our salaries? If the answer is yes, then join and wait. If the answer is no, and then the company does not increase, then choose to take the job or not to take the job. Because, again, remember, especially in the private sector, not many people just want to increase your salary just because you are more productive. Productivity doesn't always equal to salary increment. On the other side also, if I go to the side of the employer, every time they increase your salary, it doesn't mean you increase your productivity. So as employees, it's good to always understand the mechanisms that are there presently. If you feel actually that you need a salary increment, don't fear. It's your right. It may be turned down, but always raise it so that your boss is aware this guy is not comfortable with this salary. What can we do? If you are a good staff, they will pay you what you want. What you are getting today is not what the company can pay you. It's what the company is paying you. So if your bargaining power is good, these people will pay you more. They will even want to retain you. That's why we have poaching all over. Other good companies coming for you because they value your skills. So the issue is about developing yourself. Are you indispensable? But that's if you are a person that the company can sack today, and within the next 2 months they have not hired anyone, it means you are irrelevant. That's redundance. You don't have the value that the company needs. But if you can be sacked today, and tomorrow they must have someone in your seat, and they're asking, will you fill these big shoes? Trust you me, this will give you what you want. So let's not always be look at it one-sided, like me as an employee. But I understand there are those situations. If your salary has not been increasing, and you feel you are not being rewarded well, again, what is within your control, do that. And do it with a lot of prudence and intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, more often than not, usually find ourselves wrapped up in the mind of the employee, all the problems that we have. Oh, it's not working out. Oh, we need to leave. Oh, we have bad bosses. But also on the other side, they have issues as well. Senior managers, CEOs, the bosses of owners of different companies. Because they're also having their own career paths, and they have to manage these particular people. And something interesting you raised was the fact that if, as an employee, you feel that your skill set or your position is you're indispensable because of what you bring, go and demand more for what you do. But on the other side of the table, from the person who you're demanding this money from, they're always told to make sure that any position, they can have somebody to fill it at any particular time. There shouldn't be anyone who's indispensable. So what do you tell the senior managers in that point of view? Because they don't want to feel like every single time before budget review, they're being held ransom by people because there are 5 individuals who are indispensable. So they just know, like clockwork, every 2 years, itabidi umuongeze because they do good work. How do you advise such a person?
You see, I would say this. Office environment or other working environment is a very complex one, and you need to understand it. And I would advise maybe the managers or people who are leaders in companies, team leaders and all that, first to be like mentors and also to be friends, so that even your staff can come and tell you their feelings without sounding like they are demanding. And you can exchange and ask them, what exactly do you want? That even when they are planning on career growth and career change, they inform you even before they make that decision, such that you are not surprised by the time they make that decision. These managers, as you said very well, they have family problems like you. They have budgets like you. Some of them, they are earning more than you, but it's not enough because of the many needs that they have. So it's good also to understand them. I can tell you, Jeff, being an external auditor for quite some years, I can tell you, some companies are very good and they are well known. But trust you me, if you look at their numbers, they are not so good that they can increase your salary. But you just look at the revenue. But you don't ask yourself, where is this revenue coming from? So there are a lot of expenses, but the revenue is good. So the company is like break-evening, you see? Meaning that when you are demanding for a salary, also understand your company. What profit are you making? Do you have really a point when you say we are producing more, but you are producing more using which resources? Are you meeting those resources, including the salaries at everything? So I believe employees and also the employers, they need to understand each other and have an open way of sharing information and feedback. I remember some research that was done somewhere, and the major issue that arose was about communication, feedback. There is poor feedback, there is poor communication in most of the organizations, especially the top tier companies. Reason being what? The managers are there or the bosses, and then the staff are here. So it's like a fight. You people, you are taking our energy, our efforts, and we here, we are serving you. It's not a matter of serving and what. It's about of inter-service. Each of you is serving the other. So I believe it's about understanding. Yeah.
So you should feel also that at the end of the day, not only are you working for your manager is also working for you.
Exactly.
They're taking care of your needs.
Exactly, they do.
Okay.
And Jeff, something you said, there's something you talked about, the managers feeling like, these people are demanding too much. And also feeling like there is no one who is indispensable. Trust you me, there are many people in companies, small and big companies, who are indispensable. If you leave today, they will call you to come back. Not to come and punish you, but because they appreciate your services. You can leave a company, and if you call them and tell them things didn't work, they will tell you, come back tomorrow, because of the value. But there are people you leave the company, and they start, good riddance.
It's a sigh of relief.
It's a sigh of relief. So the issue of being indispensable, I know it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, very much there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanja, for taking us through this. And I think the most important things are, of course, making sure you have a plan in your career, even as you move along. Sure. And more importantly, work your way to becoming indispensable.
Exactly.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Of course.